Greetings everybody, coming to you from my 2018 BMW 540D xDrive US model. You can see I've got the purple ambient lighting on. One thing that has happened, I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit dimmer on the far right. That's actually a common issue with these cars. I'm not worried about it. It still works. It's just a little bit dim in that one section. So thought I'd give an update on this car. About a month ago, I took it on a 900-mile road trip, and including the couple days that I was at my location and driving around in the city. Overall, I averaged 43 miles to the gallon. So I think some stretches on the highway I was pushing 45. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, overall it was pretty spectacular for fuel mileage. I'm going to go ahead and close the sunroof so there's not so much noise in this video. So since then, that was about a month ago, let's see what the average has changed to. So now we're at 39.9. That includes a lot of brisk driving. It's so fun to floor it in this car, especially like coming to a stop and flooring it where that torque just hits all of a sudden. It's great. Let's see, there's nobody behind me. Let me do a quick little burst here. I'm slightly uphill. Yeah, it's just, it's amazing. In one of my other videos, I timed the 0 to 60 in this car, and it was like 5.6 or something. And that's not launching it. That's just basically matting the pedal and letting it do the rest of the work. So one thing, so I've owned this car since 20,000 miles. Maybe it was like 20,380 or something like that. So I've put, what is it now, just under 17,000 miles on it. I have had it for, let's say, a year and maybe 8 months, something like that. It's not my primary driver, but it does get driven. I'm gonna say I'm gonna probably average about 10,000 miles a year in this car. When I first got it, one thing that I noticed it did was when I would floor it from a stop, like I just did back there, on the 1-2 shift, you could feel a shuddering in the whole car. It turns out that's actually a known issue among a lot of different BMWs. With the xDrive system, they came from the factory with the wrong transfer case fluid. And there's actually a technical service bulletin out there about that. It lists all the models it covers. I actually did a video about that a while back, but it's been a while since I've talked about that. So I had to fight the dealer a bit to get that done. They kept telling me, oh, we don't feel anything, even though the head tech did say he felt something. They quickly changed their tune, but I kept pressuring them, and they finally did it. It shows like an hour and a half of labor. I'm not sure why it took so long to just drain and refill, but who knows. So after that, on the TSB, it says it takes a couple thousand miles for it to work through the clutches or whatever, and then it should get better. So since I had that done, it's been, I'm going to say, about 11,000 miles maybe. That was the last time I had this car in for major work. And it has dramatically smoothed out. Sometimes it's perfectly smooth with absolutely no vibration, and other times it's probably 98% better than it was. So if you have a shuddering between the 1-2 shift, they call it juddering with a J in the technical service bulletin. Get your transfer case oil updated to DTF1, and that should solve your issue. So for those who have not seen any of my previous videos on this, from 20,000 miles to the end of warranty, I did have a few things go wrong. My turbocharger was leaking soot and oil. So after they had the regional rep come and inspect the car, he agreed to replace the turbo. So I got a new turbo at about 26,000 miles. They also replaced the valve cover, and in doing so, that's I guess a pretty big job, because it also required removing all the injectors and replacing all the injector seals and stuff like that. Holy cow, there's a lot of traffic here. A couple other silly things, like my center armrest doors wouldn't latch, so they tried to adjust it once, and then they eventually replaced the whole thing under warranty. I had a sun visor that kept falling down, so they took care of that. I must have run over something there. Let's see here. Let me get. I have so many cars I can never remember where the cruise control is. 5, 4, 3. Okay, cruise set at 73, so we're good. Let's see, what else have I had with this car? Early on, I had a check engine light, and it had a message, something about echo fault, and it turned out that it needed a new DEF active tank. That was also covered under warranty. It's a pretty pricey repair. It seems like all modern diesels have that issue. Anywhere between 4 and 8 years. I think that's the lifespan of the DEF tank. In my GLK 250, I believe it went out on the previous owner. It lasted 8 years. So hopefully the new one in this car lasts longer than 4 years that it failed the first try. I also had that same issue on my Equinox diesel. So yeah, that's a very common issue on these diesels, is the DEF tank. Now I think there's some workarounds where you can replace just the heater level sensor by itself and save a considerable amount of money. I think for that kind of stuff, I think you have to do it yourself. But obviously, if something's under warranty, I'm going to have the dealer do it, since it doesn't cost me any effort or money. The other thing, due to no fault of the car, I don't love run flat tires. I did hit a pothole, and as a result had to be towed. It damaged the tire. These cars don't come with spare tires. I have thought a few times about getting a spare tire and just throwing it in the trunk, but I've never gotten around to that. So yeah, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I had actually damaged the sidewall of the tire, and I was still able to drive like 50 miles or so, but then eventually it just, after the car kept running over that same spot on the tire, it eventually just broke it wide open. I don't remember if I said this, I did a video about that showing what happened. So, I mean, I was able to get off the highway and get into a gas station parking lot to wait for the tow truck. But a spare tire would have been nice, because then I would have been able to make it home and deal with it in a more convenient fashion. So, yeah, mixed feelings about run flats. They also tend to get noisy starting about halfway through their useful life. The ones I have on it now came from the BMW dealer. There was they actually had a tire sale. Their price was pretty competitive with what else is out there. They're not cheap. I want to say it was like $1,400 all in for the 4 tires. Yeah, they're much quieter. I don't even remember what brand they are. The thing about getting tires done at the dealer is that they are, every time I've ever had that done, they're very meticulous about balancing them so that you can go high speeds and not have any shimmy or anything like that. Smaller tire shops are hit or miss when it comes to like the German cars. Like, what does that idiot think he's going to do? I was going to go around him. And let's see, what else have I had to deal with? I keep thinking there's one more thing I had to deal with on this car. I can't remember exactly what it is now. DEF consumption seems to be pretty good. I filled it up last year. I don't know, maybe 10,000 miles ago, give or take, and it still has not asked me for any. I filled it up all the way to the rim. The filler hole is right by the gasoline, or sorry, that's dumb, the diesel filler, and it's different in my Mercedes. It's actually in the rear hatch, and the Mercedes is a little harder to do. I haven't had to put it in there yet, but it's due. So, well, that's all I can think of. Just a couple general things. It's a great car to drive. It's very comfortable on long trips, but the seat does tend to get a little hot after you've been sitting in it for a while. So if you can get one with the ventilated seats, that would be recommended. The traffic on the navigation map is a subscription service. It's $10 a month. I get that because I like having the traffic on there. Yeah, you have to pay to get the traffic on there. The navigation still works if you don't have a subscription, but it also includes, and I just now was reminded of the other thing I wanted to mention. It also includes map updates, but it's weird the way they do it. They only give you like regional map updates, so you have to set the map to the one you want to have updated, but you can switch it and keep getting updates for other maps. But I actually don't even remember how to do that. I know I've done it before. And yeah, I was just reminded of another weird issue. I don't know if you can hear, I just put the brakes on. So it feels like warped rotors, but that's actually not what's going on. I also did a video about this specifically. The rear pads in particular have, or the rear rotors in particular have what I believe is called pad transfer. And what's going on there is apparently at one point when I had it parked in the garage, the pad kind of melted to the rotor, and you can actually see a distinct imprint of the pad on the rotor. And what it does is it causes a grabby spot, and when you are braking at high speeds, when the rotors are hot, it gives the sensation of a warped rotor. There's a little bit of pad transfer on the front rotors, but not as bad. So for now, I'm ignoring it. It actually got a little bit better after my 900-mile trip. So I'm guessing maybe a little bit of that wore off. I do believe this car is on the original brakes and rotors after 37,000 miles. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it is. And yeah, so they're holding up pretty well. I think they're at least 50%. I don't know how the owner prior to me drove, but I do maybe 80% highway. I did try to do the bedding in process for the brakes to see if I could maybe wear that off of the rotor, and it didn't seem to really make much of a difference, so I'm just going to drive it. I did notice that if you push the pedal more firmly, it is not as bad. You gotta watch this guy here. And if you lightly push the pedal, that's when you really feel it. So for now, not going to do anything about that. Just going to kind of leave it as is and monitor. As long as the pad thickness is good, I will probably just leave that alone. So, other than that, I think I've covered everything. There are 298 of these in the country, or there were 298 of these sold. The source of my information is the EGR recall, which I haven't done. I'm not going to do that right away. Eventually it will fail. I'd rather wait until it does start showing some signs of failure. I gotta pay attention to this truck. I think he's gonna want to jump out. Okay, he didn't jump out. But yeah, on the recall notice, it said that potential number of units affected 298. So that is the official count of how many of these were sold. So it is a super rare car. I love rare and unusual cars. I have had quite a few rare and unusual cars. I was looking at various diesel BMWs before I got this one, 328D. It's a very cool car, but I never found the seats to be that comfortable. They're much better in this 5 Series, and I just have the base seats. They did come with leather standard for the 540D. I don't know if the 540i was the same way, but the interior is holding up well. There's really no wear shown on the leather or anything for that matter, but I did put some I can't remember what it's called, something like leather honey. I did treat it once. It's probably due again. I don't know how often you're supposed to do that, and I'm guessing most people never do it. But anyway, it was interesting. There was somebody up there on top of the bridge waving at people. I think he had a message there, but I didn't quite see what it was. There was like some flags and stuff there. A bit unusual. Alright, I believe that's it. So if you've made it this far, hopefully you've you've enjoyed the video and the ride along in my 540D. If you can find one of these, I definitely recommend checking it out, but check some of the things I mentioned, and absolutely pull codes before you buy one, because there could be pending codes that don't quite trigger a check engine light, which could definitely affect how much money you're going to have to put into it. But overall, a fantastic car, an engineering marvel, and I think probably the best diesel car made, sold in the US. Now there's a few that are also awesome diesel cars other than just this one, but I think in terms of just purely comfort, power, performance, handling, fuel economy, those sorts of things, yeah, this one is pretty amazing, and all-wheel drive. So, you know, there's Mercedes has a few contenders out there as well, but yeah, I think this is the peak of diesel cars available that you could buy in the US. Okay, have a great day, everyone.